be a, well, there's some that I can think of that are like really, really kind of bizarre. I had one time an agent that I was friends with. I was in my office at HBO, and this agent called me up and he said, "I need your help."
Yeah.
I said, "Okay. What is it?" He said, "Well, I'm downstairs. Can you meet me down here?" And I said, "Okay." So I went downstairs and met him, and he asked me if I'd go to the ATM machine with him because he needed to borrow money.
From you?
From me.
Oh.
You know, how much do you need? You know, whatever, a few $100. I took out as much as I could take out, and I handed it to him, and he left. Then he called me again, same thing.
Wait, that same day?
No, not the same day.
Oh, another day.
Later, yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't ask him why he needed it. I didn't care why he needed it. And I knew this guy only a little bit. Like, it wasn't like we were like going to Hawaii together and hanging out. I was just like an agent that I talked to a few times. Yeah. And then he kind of disappeared, right? And I thought, okay, well, he needed that for something.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was for.
Right.
He was in bad with a loan shark or something. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, yeah.
But I said yes to it, even though it didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
Any sense to me. And it turned out, years later, I get a call from him.
Yeah.
Right? And he was living in Minneapolis. He was working at a car dealership. And he was making a phone call that I know now was to make amends.
I see.
So I ascertained that he was in some sort of a gambling program.
I see.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And he sent me back all the money.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that was sort of like this like years later I thought, wow, I don't know what that was about. He was on some kind of a journey.
Yeah.
And for some reason he called me, and I was willing to help him out.
Yeah.
And to this day I don't really know what the impact of that was, but I was really kind of thrilled that he called me back, and we had a nice conversation, you know, and it was all good at the end of the day. And that was just like something that stands out for me as something I could have easily said no to.
Sure.
But you know, I think I also learned a lot about myself through that whole thing, you know. And that's really the value of any of these experiences.
Yeah.
You know, people have asked me to go places. I remember one night a friend asked me to go to Malibu because there was an Indian guru who was coming to do a channeling session and a fire puja, you know. And so I go to Malibu to this like beautiful property, and there are these sort of, you know, spiritual people hanging out, and you know, this thing kind of goes into the night, and everybody's basically falling asleep, so I sleep on the floor, and I get up 2 hours later, and the guru guys, they're preparing all the stuff for the fire puja.
Okay.
And I got up and started helping.
Nice.
And for hours, I mean, it turned out that I was there to be his assistant, and I didn't know that that's why I was there, but I was preparing the coconut shells and doing the, you know, this and slicing this and chopping that and putting this oil in this lamp and doing, you know what I mean? And we got the whole thing ready, and I was sitting right across from him by the time the, you know, sun was coming up, and it was this really beautiful experience. And I don't know why I ended up sleeping on the floor, you know, and being there for 2 hours, just, you know, but it turned out that I was able to be of service to this ceremony. I never saw any of those people again. Yeah. You know. Yeah. But it was like this sort of just giving a night of my life to a night and a morning of my life to something greater. So. But
you know what strikes me about both those instances is you're saying yes to the unknown. You know, I mean, yeah, you're being of service, and also, I mean, I get that. What struck you about Alan Watts and what influenced you so powerfully when you were 15 was kind of that invitation into the unknown, not needing to know, you know, that this is going to lead to this, or, you know, where this is going to lead, but it's an invitation, and, you know, I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, I routinely go on trips around the world and don't know anything about any of it. Where I'm staying, the phone number or address of a hotel I'm staying, I don't know any of it. And nobody does. Like, I would go away, my office would be like, where do we contact you? And
Right.
I say, I don't know.
Yeah.
I really don't know.
Yeah.
So you're just going to have to be okay for a couple weeks.
Right.
You know, and and that's another great example of ending up in some really, just wild places. I mean, I ended up in Ramallah, a few months ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In Hebron and Ramallah, and it's like, what am I doing here? But being of service. I mean, that's basically what it all comes down to at the end of the day.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a combination, I feel, of being of service,
Mm-hmm.
which seems like it's a natural thing for you. It's what you are here to be.
Mm-hmm.
And also being so open and trusting, of the unknown.
What's the worst that can happen?
Exactly.
I mean, that's really the question. I think that if you want to talk about the inner process of like what does it mean to be to live this kind of life, I think one of the basic questions that everyone has to ask themselves, the line of questioning, is what could really happen here?
Right.
What's the worst that can happen? Am I really going to die from not eating for a day?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
but really underneath it, that's the fear that people have with all of this stuff. Why should I give this guy $600, $700 for no reason? Because if I don't have that money, I might die. I might not have the ability to put food on my table or pay my rent. And if that happens, I'm going to end up homeless. And if I end up homeless, then I'm going to end up crazy, and then I'm going to starve to death on the street. You know what I mean? But without people realizing it, that's like where
It's like a survival. It's a deep survival thing.
So if you can eliminate the survival conversation and say, I'm held immaculately in the mind of God, I am actually always cared for by a force that's greater than anything I can conceive of.
Right.
Then I'm free. I'm free to do things. I jumped out of airplanes, God, for God's sake, right? I didn't want to do that. I really didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
But I did it.
Yeah.
And on the other side of it, it's like, wow, I jumped out of an airplane. I stood on the Great Wall of China. I mean, that's what I did want to do. But scuba dive, whatever it is, I've driven 170 miles an hour around Daytona Motor Speedway. It's like, why not? Because if you can really eliminate that part that's saying you're not going to be okay,
right,
then you're free to do a lot of things.
Right.
I'm free to do a lot of things now that I wouldn't be able to do if I were still worried about survival.
Sure. And I think to bring it full circle, it really allows you to, one, follow your bliss, and two, really say yes to the unknown.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's maybe the unspoken part of the follow your bliss thing is you have to be like...
really open and trusting.
You have to be not afraid enough to follow your bliss. That's where it goes, because everybody's got like the thing they want to do, but doing it is a whole other thing. It's a whole other conversation. And basically the dividing line, I think, is fear. Right? So that's really... that's the thing that they didn't put in that book. But if they had written that, and that's implied in the statement, if they had put that in the book, I might have thought twice about it. But it sounds like such a great idea. Follow your bliss. It's so easy.
Yeah.
But then you get, as many things are, you kind of get pulled into it and then realize later, oh my God, that means I actually have to do some work.
Sure. Yeah. But it sounds like the personal practices really address whatever fears. I mean, again, going back to both the survival emotions as well as any repressed emotions, undealt with emotions, you release that and you're much freer to be free.
Yeah,
you're much freer to listen.
Those are tools, I think, to help stay on top of myself.
Yes.
I mean, I do another really powerful practice that I do that I just love is I do these gratitude walks. So 3 days a week, I do a walk. A silent walk. It's sort of like a meditation walk, but I'm thinking about all the things I'm thankful for, and just be feeling like that the power of like gratitude, and that vibration is very healing and it's very lifting. And I think at the end of the day, all of these practices are geared towards keeping a high vibration, and then in that vibration, it's like it's kind of like if some of my friends and I say you're in a department store and you want to go to the furs, which are on level 7, but you're in the basement. You actually have to lift yourself through floor number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and get to floor number 7.
Yeah.
And the elevator is vibration.
It is.
So you really want to keep, if you want to be where the stuff is, you know, what's referred to as the kingdom, you have to be up in the vibration where that's happening.
Yes, yes.
So,
and those practices
that's what they're
really support you in that. Well, I want to express my gratitude to you.
Thank you.
It's so good to see you.
Yeah, it's good seeing you too.
And really, just really both inspiring and really uplifting. I mean, it's your vibration, but it's also, you know, what you exude and what you exemplify, and you know, it's reflective of that high vibration. And thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks,
today.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.